This is SOSF. Settle in, folks. Today we're exploring a topic that's been hiding in plain sight, and it is absolutely fascinating. We need to talk about this whole AI thing. And I don't mean the sanitized, corporate speak version you get on the news. I'm talking about the real story, the messy, human, behind-the-scenes drama that's shaping the future of everything. It's a wild ride, like Game of Thrones but with guys who wear hoodies and could accidentally create God, or the devil. I got my hands on this incredible deep dive by a journalist named Karen Howe. It's called Empire of AI, and it just rips the curtain back on the whole operation. It's all about this one company, OpenAI, the guys who made ChatGPT. And let me tell you, the story of how that thing came to be is 1,000 times crazier than the bot itself. It all starts, like all good Silicon Valley stories, at a fancy private dinner. The year is 2015. You've got Sam Altman, this young, super ambitious guy who's already a legend in the valley. People who know him say crazy things about him. His own mentor, this guy Paul Graham who started the legendary Y Combinator, once said, you could parachute him into an island full of cannibals and come back in 5 years and he'd be the king. That's the kind of guy we're dealing with. A master of power dynamics. So he gets this dinner together. And who shows up late, as always? Elon Musk. Now, why is Elon there? Because he's terrified. Absolutely spooked. He's convinced that Larry Page over at Google is building a digital supergod in his AI lab, DeepMind. Musk's whole backup plan for humanity is to go to Mars, right? It's his escape pod. But he's been told that if Google creates a superintelligence, it'll just follow him to Mars. There's no escape. It'll hunt him down across the galaxy. He's so freaked out he starts calling AI summoning the demon. He genuinely believes this is more dangerous than nukes. So he's looking for a way to fight back, to build a counterforce. He sees a fellow traveler in Sam Altman. Altman's got this weird duality to him. On one hand, he's a relentless optimist, talking about building a utopian future. On the other, he's a survivalist, a guy who supposedly has a go-bag packed with guns and antibiotics, ready for doomsday. He's hedging his bets on the apocalypse. He's the perfect mix of ambition and paranoia for a project like this. He can sell the dream and plan for the nightmare. So they get this group of the smartest AI minds together at this ridiculously expensive hotel, and over dinner, they cook up a plan. They're going to build their own AI, a good AI, to counter Google's potential evil AI. It's the classic good versus evil narrative. And here's the kicker. The sales pitch. They're going to do it as a non-profit. It's not for money, man. It's for humanity. They call it OpenAI, because it's all going to be open and transparent, shared with the world, a democratic force for good. They pledge $1 billion to the cause. It sounds noble as hell, right? A team of superheroes building a benevolent god to protect us all. But you know what they say about the road to hell. It doesn't take long for the for humanity thing to get complicated. Turns out, building God is expensive. Really, really expensive. The $1 billion pledge starts to look like chump change when you realize the computer power you need is just insane. The brains behind the research, this guy Ilya Sutskever, a true genius in the field, he has this core belief: scale is everything. Make the models bigger, feed them more data, throw more computing power at them, and intelligence will just emerge. It's like a bodybuilder who thinks if he just gets big enough, he'll eventually be able to fly. It's a brute force approach to creating consciousness. This obsession with scale creates a black hole for money. And pretty soon, the internal politics get gnarly. Musk, seeing the huge potential and the insane costs, decides he should be in charge. He wants to merge OpenAI with Tesla, make it his personal AI skunkworks. But Altman, the master strategist, the king of the cannibals, outmaneuvers him. In early 2018, Musk walks away from the whole project and, crucially, takes his pledged money with him. Suddenly, the saviors of humanity are broke. So what does Sam Altman do? He refounds the company. It's his specialty. He comes up with this wild new structure. OpenAI will remain a non-profit at its core, dedicated to its holy mission. But nested inside it, he creates a for-profit arm. He calls it a capped profit company. It sounds responsible, right? There's a cap on how much investors can make. But when you look at the details, it's a total joke. The first investors had their returns capped at 100 times their investment. 100 times. If you gave me $10 million and I gave you back $1 billion, you wouldn't be complaining about a cap, man. You'd be buying a private island and naming it after me. It was a marketing gimmick to make a hardcore for-profit venture sound like a charity. This move is the original sin. It's the moment the mission starts to get fuzzy. It's no longer just about saving humanity. It's about raising capital. It's about feeding the beast. And who's got the biggest checkbook in the world? Microsoft. 4 months after Musk leaves, Altman strikes a deal. Microsoft pours $1 billion into this new for-profit arm. In exchange, They get exclusive access to the technology. The altruistic nonprofit now has a corporate master with a fiduciary duty to its shareholders. The superhero team just got a corporate sponsor, and that sponsor wants to sell action figures, lunchboxes, and weapon systems. This is where the story gets dark, where the empire of AI really begins. To feed the beast, to fuel this law of scaling, they need two things in ever-increasing amounts: data and computing power. And the way they get them has massive, hidden costs that we're all paying for, whether we know it or not. First, the data. They just start hoovering up the entire internet, everything. They scrape books, articles, people's personal blog posts, Reddit comments, YouTube videos. The entire digital footprint of humanity becomes raw material. It's the biggest data heist in history. They called the dataset for GPT-3 the Common Crawl, but people inside the company knew it was more like a data swamp. It was full of the absolute worst of us: racism, sexism, violence, conspiracy theories, every unhinged manifesto and weird fetish. All of it gets ground up into the sausage. They're trying to build a genius by forcing it to read every single comment thread on the internet. What could possibly go wrong? But even that's not enough. The AI starts spitting out the garbage it was fed. So they need humans to clean it up, or at least, to teach the AI not to spew out the worst parts of what it learned. This is where it gets really grim. Howe's reporting uncovered that OpenAI, through a contractor, hired workers in Kenya for less than $2 an hour. Their job? To read and label the most toxic, horrific text imaginable. We're talking graphic descriptions of violence, hate speech, sexual abuse, things that would break a normal person. One guy, Mafat Okinyi, had his life completely fall apart. The work gave him severe psychological trauma. He'd have recurring visions of the stuff he was reading. His relationships crumbled. He became a ghost. And all of it, all that human suffering, was just a line item on a budget. A cost of doing business to make ChatGPT safe and friendly for us. We get a polite chatbot that can write a poem. He gets a haunted mind for the rest of his life. That's the trade. Then there's the computing power. These AI models are trained in massive, city-sized buildings called data centers. They are monstrosities of energy consumption. And they are thirsty. Before the ChatGPT boom, Google wanted to build a new data center in Cerrillos, a working-class part of Santiago, Chile. The activists there, groups like Mozicut, did their homework. They dug through the 347-page filing and found the unbelievable truth. Google's data center planned to use more than 1,000 times the amount of water as the entire population of the city. In the middle of a historic, countrywide drought, they were going to suck a town dry to cool their servers. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. The community fought back, and they actually won. But the empire just moves on. These companies, Microsoft and Google, they're building these mega campuses in places like Arizona, another desert in the middle of a water crisis. To train GPT-4, Microsoft's data centers in Iowa consumed about 11.5 million gallons of water in a single month. And that's not even counting the minerals, the copper, the lithium, being mined, often under horrific environmental conditions in places like Chile's Atacama Desert, to build the hardware in the first place. The shiny, digital cloud has a very real, very dirty physical footprint. It's a new form of resource extraction, a digital colonialism. We're literally terraforming the planet to build this thing. While this global machine is being built, a civil war is brewing inside OpenAI. The company splits into two factions. You've got the boomers, the startup clan led by guys like Altman and Greg Brockman. Their motto is basically move fast and break things. They see this as a race against China, against Google, against everyone, and they have to win at all costs. Then you've got the doomers, the safety clan. These are the people who are genuinely terrified that they are building something that could become uncontrollable and lead to human extinction. They're led by guys like Dario Amodei and Ilya Sutskever himself, the chief scientist. They're constantly at each other's throats. The safety guys want to slow down, to test everything, to make sure the AI is aligned with human values before they make it any more powerful. The product guys see this as a ridiculous drag on progress. Every decision becomes a battle. The doomers see Altman not just as a typical ambitious CEO, but as a manipulative, dishonest leader whose behavior is an existential risk in itself. They feel he's paying lip service to safety while pushing for growth and profit at all costs. He tells them what they want to hear, and then goes and does whatever he wants. It gets so bad that in late 2020, the core of the safety team, led by the Amodei siblings, stages a mass exodus. They call it the divorce. They leave OpenAI to start their own rival company, Anthropic, with the explicit mission of building a safer AI. The schism is complete. The Church of AI has split in two, each side convinced the other is leading humanity to ruin. This all comes to a head in November 2023. It's the ultimate palace coup. The board, which is still technically a non-profit board whose job is to protect humanity, has completely lost trust in Sam Altman. They feel he hasn't been consistently candid with them. That's the corporate speak for he lies to us. They've been hearing from senior executives, including Sutskever and the new CTO Mira Murati, that his leadership is becoming toxic and dangerous. So, on a Friday, they do the unthinkable. They fire him. They call him into a Google Meet and tell him he's out. It's a total shock to the world, to the employees, even to Microsoft, but they massively miscalculate. They underestimate the cult of personality Altman has built. The employees, his loyal army, stage a full-blown rebellion. Nearly all 770 of them sign a letter threatening to quit and follow Sam wherever he goes unless the board resigns and reinstates him. And where would they go? Right into the arms of Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, who, after pouring $10 billion into this thing, is not about to let his investment go up in smoke. He plays the ultimate trump card. He announces he'll hire Altman, Brockman, and anyone else who quits to lead a new AI division at Microsoft. Checkmate. The board has no choice. Within 5 days, the coup has failed. Sam Altman returns not just as CEO, but as a conquering hero. The board members who fired him are out. He is, for all intents and purposes, more powerful than ever before. The last real check on his power, the non-profit board, has been broken. The king has been deposed and then returned to the throne with absolute authority. So here we are. This project that started as a noble quest to save humanity has become a hyper-competitive, multi-billion-dollar corporate empire. It's an empire built on the back of exploited labor, questionable data scraping, and a ravenous consumption of the planet's resources. And it's all being driven by a handful of people in Silicon Valley who are locked in this ideological war, who can't even agree with each other on whether they are building a savior or a destroyer. They talk about ushering in the intelligence age, a new era of unimaginable prosperity that will cure cancer and solve climate change. But their actions tell a different story. It's a story of power, of ego, of moving fast, and of dealing with the consequences later. We are all living in the middle of the biggest experiment in history, and the terrifying thing is, we never consented to be the test subjects. The people running the lab are making it up as they go along, convinced of their own genius, while the rest of us just hold on for the ride. And that leaves me with one massive, brain-bending question to chew on. If this technology is learning from us, from the sum total of our digital lives, our books, our conversations, our arguments, our darkest thoughts whispered into the void of the internet, and it's being built by this small, conflicted, power-hungry group of humans, what part of us will it actually inherit? Will it get our best intentions, our hopes, our compassion, and our creativity? Or will it inherit our ambition, our paranoia, our tribalism, our greed, and our uncanny ability to justify any means to achieve an end? When this thing finally looks back at its creators, what is it going to think of us? Will it see us as gods to be emulated, or as flawed, chaotic children who built something they couldn't control and should be put aside? See you next time.